When starting a 30-day health challenge or a new diet, most people would not do it when they're going to be leaving home and out of their own element, such as on vacation. So, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going on vacation, but I am leaving home. I'm at the DFW airport, and I am going to start a 30-day health challenge, dietary challenge, that is with a group called optimizingnutrition.com. And in the past, these health challenges have been called, the one I'm doing has been called data-driven fasting. But I believe the name is in process of change, and I don't know what the actual name will end up being, whether it will be data-driven eating or glucose something. But the point is to use your glucose meter as your fuel gauge. So that is what I'm about to do. I'm going to go ahead and take my a reading for entering into the app that comes with the challenge, and I'll show that reading to you. I've already taken my first reading of the day, my waking reading, and I'll share that with you as well. But here I am at DFW Airport, about to begin a 30-day health challenge. Not in my own home, not in my own kitchen, and I will take you along for the 30 days. Here is a screenshot of the data-driven fasting app as shown on my iPad. And in a few minutes after I take my glucose reading, I will show what it looks like to enter data in the data-driven fasting app. And I have it set on baseline. It indicates baseline right there. So this will be this start of taking numbers and learning what my trigger is. And eventually the trigger number will show up right there. Okay, I've switched back to my home screen so I can point out the Dario app to you. And that is right here. I'll be clicking on that and using that to record my glucose number. Okay, so here comes the Dario app showing my numbers, and I will go ahead and take a reading. I will be using this Dario meter kit. The whole kit is right here at my fingertips. This is the lancing device on this end. This end has the test strips in it, and right here is where the meter pops out of. So I'm going to open that up. And there is the meter. That's what's going to go into the end of my iPad. So I've inserted the meter here, and now I need to get a test strip out of this end. Take off the cap, open this up, and pull out some test strips. I'm actually going to pull out 3. 1, 2, 3. I have unlimited test strips, so I always make sure that my numbers are in agreement with each other. Okay, I'm going to put this in. Now it shifted. So it starts here saying insert a new test strip. Put the test strip in, and it shifts to place a drop of blood. That's where this end of the Dario comes in. I'm going to stab myself, get a drop of blood. Okay. That's what I need right there. Okay, so I just touch that to the end of the test strip, and the pipette end sucks it up, and I'm getting a 76. You probably have glare, so it told me a 76. I'm going to test again. I was able to raise another drop of blood from that same stab. And now I need to record that. Okay, and it's going to tell me to place a drop of blood. Do that. I'm immediately going to raise another drop of blood just in case those numbers do not agree. And they don't. Okay, I can't raise another drop of blood on that. I'm going to have to stab myself again. Okay, here goes, whoops, here goes the next drop of blood. I'm going to record this with a check mark and pull out that test strip. Put in a new test strip here. Told me to place a drop of blood. And there I go for the third number. Hopefully one of those three numbers will be within 3 digits of each other. 83. Okay, so that is within 3 digits, but I'll show you. I'm recording the number. I can touch on here to go back to the recordings. That should come up. Okay, so there are my 3 numbers that I just took, all at 11:03 a.m. 83, 86, 76. That's 10 digits spread, too much. But these two, they're close. So I'm going to go with the 83. So I put the cap back on here and pull the meter out and slip that back in here. Close that, and my Dario is all together. So I said I'm going to go with the 83. From here, I'm going to go back to the Dario app. Open that. Whoops, I don't want the Dario app. That was my mistake, sorry. I'm going to go to the Data-Driven Fasting app. The Data-Driven Fasting app is a web-based app. So I'm going to hit Safari, and whoops, that should pull up the home page. So there is the Data-Driven Fasting web page app. This screen is showing data from the last challenge that I did, and so I'll walk you through some of the things on here. Right now it's telling me that I could do this to-do and read about baseline and read more. It's showing me that the last weight I had recorded is 145 pounds, and my last pre-meal was 95 milligrams per deciliter. My last waking blood sugar was 95 milligrams per deciliter, and my last post-meal that I recorded was 107 milligrams per deciliter. There's other things here on the app that it is tracked from previous challenges, but I'm not going to bog you down with all that information right now. Okay, so I am going to hit track right here, and I'm going to track my glucose, my waking glucose from this morning. So I'm going to hit waking, and then I'm going to set the time when that was this morning. Oops, I don't want that there. Okay, so I am on the 15th of July starting this, and I can adjust the time down here with this little clock. So my first reading this morning that I haven't entered yet in this data was at 6:42 a.m. So actually I'm going to go up to 6:42. All right, 6:42. Whoops. Back to the cat clock. No. Clock. Okay, what do we got here? 50. Oh, I see. Okay, so the calendar and the clock. Got to start over on that. Yeah. Okay, so 6:42 a.m. That's 42. Now I need to get the 6. 6:42. AM is correct. I could switch it to PM by touching the blue.
All right, so the week after.
But it's AM. And now, oops, come on here. Let's get rid of this. All right, let's go back to this. Oh, my iPad's a little clogged up, so it's not responding quickly. My value this morning was 91. And for that, I do need the keyboard. Where's the keyboard? There's the keyboard. Show keyboard. Okay, 91. All right, now close the keyboard. And I do have a note I'm putting in here, paste. Leaving for California this morning. All right, so my data is good. Waking, time, number, a note that I wanted to add, and now I can hit record. All right, so now it tells me 3 more days of recording until you get your trigger. I'm going to close that message. And there's the waking. That's the last waking I had. Okay, the other thing I'm going to track now is the glucose I just took. So I'm going to hit glucose for that. And that was, well, we'll just leave it at 11:16 a.m. instead of going through the clock change. But it was 83, if I remember correctly. Okay, close keyboard. Okay, it's asking me, will you eat? No, I'm not going to eat, so I'm going to turn that off and rate my hunger. I don't have any hunger right now. It is before meal, so I'll touch that. Okay, that's highlighted. And I have just recorded a waking number, a waking number and a glucose number. It says 2 more days of recording until you get your trigger. Close.
About 15 minutes after I took that last glucose number that read 83, I got a hunger pang. So I went ahead and tested again because that's what it's recommended that if we feel hungry, go ahead and test and verify. Do I need to eat? Should I wait? And you won't know when you're in these first few days of a challenge because you don't have a trigger number. But I did test, and from the 83, I had dropped down to a 78. And since I was hungry and I had about 1 more hour before boarding, I pulled out some of the food that I had in a little cooler and decided to go ahead and start with some vegetable starter, which was just the little Persian cucumbers, and then to follow it up with some very lean protein because I knew that I wouldn't have a big glucose response from those 2 things, and those 2 things are healthy and would give me something to get started with, sort of like an appetizer meal. I had my water bottle with me filled with ice when I went to the airport because ice can go through security. Liquid can't, but ice can. So after I got through security, I found a place to fill up my water bottle, and that was what I was going to use as my drink. And some of you watching this video may recognize the sticker on the water bottle. That is a Trim Healthy Mama sticker. That is the way that I began eating in 2013, Trim Healthy Mama, where they separate the fuels of fats and carbs. For the most part, they separate, and they don't exclude anything. So they do use all of the macros: proteins, fats, and carbs. About 2 hours into the flight, I started to feel hungry again. I did take a post-meal number after having the cucumbers and the package of sliced turkey. I'll get to the cake in a second, but the cucumbers and the sliced turkey took me from a 78 pre-meal glucose to an 89 post-meal glucose. And then 2 hours into the flight, I felt hungry again, or maybe it was 3 hours, I don't know. I felt hungry again, so I tested again, and I got an 81. And so this is the snack cake that I had packed 2 pieces of in my backpack. I should also add I ate more turkey, more cucumbers for a second meal, and then I had 2 pieces of this snack cake, which I will put a recipe link in the description box. This is based on a Trim Healthy Mama baking principle, where you use a flour source that is low in carbs and low in fats, and then so it keeps the fuel into either an S or an E, which is fueling either by carbohydrates or by fats. In that cake's case, it was fueled with fats because I used whole eggs in it, and I used half a stick of butter for a 9 by 13 pan. Anyway, the recipe link will be in the description box. It is a snack cake that tastes very much like a gingerbread to me that I grew up with as a child.
I'm out of the airport and I'm home, where I'm going to be for the next almost month, at our daughter's home in California. It's been a long day of travel. Right now it is 5:17 California time, so my body's still on Texas time. It'll take me a couple days to straighten out. So right now for me it's 7:17. And since it's the end of the day, and if I were on Texas time, 7:17 for me would be late to be eating. It's 5:17 California time. I just noticed a little bit of hunger pangs, but it was very, very slight. We are told in data-driven fasting or data-driven eating, whatever the new name is going to be of the program, we are told to just go ahead and test when we feel hungry and we think we would like to eat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and show you that test number. Here's my Dario. And one thing I want to say about the Dario meter, you do not have to use Dario. I use it because it is costing me only $200 a year for unlimited test strips. So that's why I can blow through so many test strips if I want, just to make sure that my number, I have an accurate idea of my number. But in the material for the people in the data-driven fasting or data-driven eating or whatever it's going to be called, they're pointed to contour as one of the meter options. When I first began using a glucose meter as my fuel gauge, I went to Walmart and bought the Rely On meter, and Walmart sells a $20 kit, a box that has everything in it you need for testing 50 times. And then when you buy new test strips, you can buy I think a bottle of 100 for about $19 or something. So that would be about 19 cents a piece. Maybe it's not $19, because I remember pricing out the test strips at 18 cents a piece, and I don't think that they've gone up in price even in 3 years. Now, who knows? Everything's going up in price, so maybe they have. I haven't checked at Walmart recently. But I'm using this Dario because $200 is a lot cheaper than the Rely On or the Contour. Though I wouldn't tell somebody to go out and spend $200 on the annual subscription unless they know they're going to do the testing and make that sort of their lifestyle, to treat a glucose meter like their fuel gauge. I will put all kinds of resources, including a link for the $200 sign up, which I'm not getting anything for. I'm not an affiliate for Dario. I'll put a link though to sign up for the $200 option in the description box of this video. If you go looking for it yourself, I'm pretty sure you're going to pay much more than $200 a year. But the link that I have it works. I keep checking the link, so that will be in the description box. I'll also put the phone number for Dario's customer service, so you could call them and ask questions if you want. But it truly is unlimited test strips, and they just mail them to your house as you use up the test strips. It kicks off a timer, a meter, or whatever, because you're putting your data into their app, and so they're seeing when you use up the test strips. So here I go. I'm going to test for you. All right, so open up the test strips here and take out 3. 1, 2, 3. And get the meter out of here. Put that in the end of my phone. And is it going to pop up a message? If it doesn't, I'll just touch the app here. Okay, so sometimes it pops up a message, but I'll touch the app, open the app, and it says insert a new test strip. So I'm doing that. And I pull back the caulking device here, and I think I'll switch my finger from when I was testing before, and draw a little drop of blood, and then just touch that to the end of the test strip and let it absorb. And then I'm going to pull up another drop of blood so I can immediately, that said 91, and I'm touching that to record it, putting in another test strip. So I pulled up a drop of blood immediately because then I don't have to stab myself again. And I want to touch this to make sure it says place a drop of blood. If it doesn't say that, it will waste a test strip. Okay, one more drop of blood here. This says 86. Okay, and I'm going to do one more. So touch that. Now this says plug in your Daria glucose meter. I was plugged in, but let's do it again. It says connecting, insert a new test strip, place a drop of blood. Okay, so let's see what we've got. 86. Now out of those 3 test strips, I'm going to look at what it says here. And I got 2 86s, so I know that I'm an 86. The other number was a 91, but that's more than 3 digits apart. And my rule is 3 digits apart, or else I'm going to retest. So that's why I did 3 numbers this time. Okay, so the Dario's put back together, and now on my phone, I'm going to go to the data-driven fasting app and touch that, and I will show you my recording. And I don't know what you can see on the screen because it looks like there's glare, so I'll just read it off to you. I'm going to hit track, and I'm going to hit glucose, and I'm going to do after meal because I ate at the airport and I ate on the plane. So this is an after meal reading, and I'm just going to leave the time setting there at 5:26 p.m. on 7/15/2022. I'm touching the value bar, and I'm going to write in that it was 86, and I'm not full at all after, this much time after. As a matter of fact, I think, I said I had a little bit of hunger pang there. So I'm going to touch number 1, rate my fullness. And for a note here, I'm just going to record a note. I am in California now, period. Okay. So that is recorded. Oh, wait a minute. It's not recorded until I slide up and I hit the blue box that says record. And I think, okay, yes, now it tells me 2 more days of recording until you get your trigger. So I'm going to close that message. And what it says right here is NA, no answer, because I don't have a trigger yet. I have to go a couple more days of recording numbers. So I have to go a couple more days of recording numbers before the app assigns me a trigger value. And the trigger value is the average glucose number of my pre-meal glucose readings that I'm entering into this app for 3 days. It's going to calculate out the average, and I think then it sets it a little bit lower to give me a trigger value to wait for that glucose number, or try to just wait a little bit longer and see if I can get closer to that trigger number before I go ahead and eat. But so this is day 1 of a 30-day challenge, and I will just keep making a video for each day of the 30-day challenges. I'll do my best to provide 30 actual videos showing you what it looks like to go through a 30-day data-driven fasting or data-driven eating challenge. And one of the reasons the name change is probably going to happen, shifting from data-driven fasting to something else, is because a lot of people are put off by the idea of fasting. But Marty Kendall is not promoting fasting. He's promoting being aware of your glucose numbers so that you can use that information to choose when to eat and maybe make wiser decisions about what to eat, knowing that it's going to affect your glucose value. And our glucose numbers are a great indicator of our metabolic health. As I go through this 30 days, I think I and you will get to see that my morning fasting number might improve, my trigger value will go down, and depending on what I choose to eat, my weight will change as well. I showed you on the app, I was vulnerable and showed you that my weight today was reading at 145, and that is above my ideal weight that I call wedding weight, which is 136. That's what I weighed when Steve and I got married 38 years ago in 1984. And I like to be at 136 or a few pounds below, so I have especially a few pounds below, so I have a little bit of wiggle room if I want, because we all know that on any given morning you could step on the scale and it could be 3 to 4 pounds difference from what you were the day before, up or down, mostly up, unfortunately. But I'm focusing as much on my health as I am on my weight. And by using Marty Kendall's teaching, I have improved my, I definitely have improved my health over the last 3.5 years. I was able to get off my thyroid medication, and my body composition is better. I seem to have good muscle mass to skeleton ratio. I'm using a Renfro scale, and that's another thing. I will put a link in the description box to the Renfro scale, because it's a reasonably priced scale, and it measures body fat and lean muscle, or it's got a bunch of measurements on it, and all those measurements have improved for me. So anyway, I think that's the end of day 1's video. If I add on to it, I add on to it. If not, this could be it. We'll see. I am adding on to it. I realized I could show you something important here on the app. earlier this morning I was talking about there were things on the app that you could learn from, like this to-do. You can read more about baselining. So let's click on that and see what that shows us. So this is an introductory piece to read about here. So record glucose and what you can learn from it. There's a lot to be learned from tracking your current routine and eating patterns, blah, blah, blah. So things to record. So the most important things to record would be, I think, would be your waking glucose, your waking blood sugar before and approximately 1 hour after each meal snack that you eat. You can record your weight, your body fat percentage, and your waist each day, and any notes you would like to add based on your reflections of the process. For example, which foods raise your blood sugar the most or leave you the hungriest. So I'm going to hit close now. That's the end of that. And then the other thing about the app that you should know about is on this navigate button here. I'm going to touch that. This learn button is very valuable. So I'm touching that. And here you have lots of information at your fingertips, literally at your fingertips. These are some FAQs about the process of doing data-driven fasting or data-driven eating. This is the entire data-driven manual, the book. So you could click on that and read all kinds of stuff about the process. So there's 131 pages to read, and Marty provides lots of information. So anyway, you can familiarize yourself with that if you do this process. And then you could, it tells you how to get this. Well, let's see, how does that apply? How to get the data-driven fasting app on your phone. Obviously, I have it on my phone. That's why it's here. Like, look, there's the data-driven fasting app there. And that's what I'm using my Dario for measuring my glucose. But back here to the data-driven fasting app. There is a data-driven fasting community, an off Facebook platform, and that's free to join. All the links to all this information will be in my video, including how to get the data-driven fasting app and to trial run it for yourself without spending a dime. So that I wanted to show you that too. I am ending my video with a chart that shows what healthy blood sugar numbers would be, both in milligrams per deciliter and millimeters or millimoles per liter. This chart comes from a website called bloodsugarbattles.com, and I have used it as a reference for myself for quite a while. I found it at the beginning of my using a glucose meter as my fuel gauge. I needed to find some healthy ranges for glucose as my guide because I really didn't have any clue, as I think is the case with most people. So these are healthy numbers, not just acceptable numbers, but healthy, ideal numbers to have when you are both in the fasted state or the fed state. So that is the end of day one's video.